Hi guys, hope you're all keeping well. Well, the month of February always bring back special memories for me because it was after launching my sauce, my Reggae Reggae sauce at the Notting Hill Carnival, I found my way by some miraculous divine intervention onto the Dragon's Den stage on BBC television. And it was that moment for me that was brilliant, for not only for the sauce and my business, but for me personally, because it was the moment that I finally proved to my beloved mother that I could actually do something and become successful at my business. But if there is two people that I've got to give thanks, for helping me to actually make the bit so that I can be celebrating it now, saying 14 years later, after my moment on Dragon's Den, there is two people that was really instrumental in making this phenomenon happen. And I gotta say, first of all, it's got to be Peter Jones because he was the one that invested, along with Richard Farley, who invested as well too. But Peter really stood up, as a, not just as an investor for me personally, but as a friend as well too. So he's instrumental in these two people. And the other person I gotta say I've got to really give thanks for making the sauce, get to you in millions of people's homes, around the country. It's got to be the legendary Justin King, chief of Sainsbury's back then. He was chief back then. Justin King, fantastic, for believing in the product and actually agreeing for that first 6 months exclusive of the sauce, after seeing it on Dragons Den, to be in Sainsbury's for that crucial 6 months so people could get it and happen in quick time. If you recall, as I do, obviously, the sauce was outselling Heinz tomato ketchup within its first few weeks in Sainsbury's, which is a moment which I'm proud of immensely. Can you imagine a sauce made in my kitchen at home from Brixton? Was outselling the number one selling sauce in the country, in the second biggest supermarket in the UK. That was just like a wow moment. And so for those two people, I've got to really say thank you for my celebration for this 14 years, since going on Dragon's Den. And I suppose I've got to add in there you, the public, for supporting me. Because even though my pitch wasn't exactly fantastic, as you saw, I made mistakes just like, many people that had gone on Dragon's Den before. I was no different. I messed up big time when it came to the numbers and everything. But I suppose the message that I've always wanted to get through, throughout my time of visiting schools and trying to inspire, small to medium enterprise, it's always been about being you, being comfortable as you. And I suppose when I did make those mistakes, which now for me is not mistakes, they are feedback and they are valuable feedback, even throughout the mistakes I've made in my whole life. But looking back then, I was really rubbish, in that first part. But the key thing, and I think is the reasons why the two investors invested in me, was because I was comfortable being me. And I think that's my message. That's my eternal message, to any budding entrepreneur, or to anybody who wants to make better in life, is to be comfortable with who you are. So even though the numbers bit wasn't me, but the music was, and being authentically, who I am, which is the son of Doreen Graham, my mom. That's who I am at core, and that's what I wanted. I was hoping for the Dragons, the investors, to invest in, and not to invest in the sauce, because as fantastic as it is, the product. But again, my lesson to you, or my advice to you, if you are setting up a business, is to make the business, the brand, incorporate yourself within that, the living, breathing you that can inspire the brand, that would be able to sell the brand to anyone. And I suppose when I came on the scene and I was expressing my music, That is what I think that the Dragons invest in. So it's 14 years ago, and it's been absolutely amazing. We've launched over 50 products on the brand since then. Anything from the original sauce through to a soft drinks range that we've had, ready meals we've had out there, and all sorts of different things. One thing I haven't done yet though, which I'm looking forward to do something fantastic like an ice cream or something like that, and we've got that on the pipeline hopefully in the future. But for us, the key thing has always been about the sauce, because that's the sort of epicenter of what the Levi Roots business is about. And again, I am so grateful for you for your support over the years, to allowing me to continue to represent Caribbean food and to bring in some great flavors for yourself. And I'm grateful too for those of you that's already subscribed to my channel Levi Roots TV. So now I'm asking you to like and subscribe to this video, so I can come with more stories for yourself and keep on trying to advise you. And I've got some questions that I think quite a few of you did send in. And if you do have any questions, then please do send it in, like and subscribe, and send in, and I'll be able to answer it to you. And one of the top questions that I always get when people are asking me is what is the biggest difficulty I faced when I had to scale up my business? It was absolutely massive. Can you imagine making in my kitchen at the time, only making 67 bottles, 67 small tiny bottles in my Dutch pot, which was a gift for my mom actually. When I started out, I didn't even have a proper pot to boil the sauce in. My mom said, use this. And it was a Dutchie for Caribbean people who are watching it. It was that. So 67 bottles from that. And my first real order from, as I said, the amazing Justin King of Sainsbury's was nearly 250,000 bottles. That was the initial order. So what, elders always talk about, be careful what you pray for. Because I've always prayed for that amazing sale, ever since I started. But I wasn't banking on 250,000 bottles. And I wasn't ready, because obviously onto the show, and just within weeks, it wasn't even a matter of months, it was a matter of weeks, from being on Dragon's Den to meeting Justin King, and then in making that order, and to getting the sauce made and everything, and then to deliver his order to him. These are the stuff that dreams are made of. But I still think even in you as an SME, you have to be prepared for that. Because after all, this is what you're in it for. This is what you train yourself for. This is what you've been promoting and producing your product for however long you've been doing it. It's for that moment when it happens to you, when all the stuff you've prayed for, it just happened overnight, and you had to be ready. So to answer that question is how I managed to do that and to fulfill the order to Mr. King for Sainsbury's after only having the sauce for a few weeks is outsourcing. It was just as simple as that. But with outsourcing, you have to build the brand first. So when you walk into any distributor or a bigger company than yourself, for you to be able to upscale, they are not going to be able to do it for you if you don't have the numbers to prove that. And if you don't have the numbers, the only other thing that you need to really have is the notoriety, is to have that name, as I did then, as a lot of people saw me in the Den a few weeks before. So we could have walked into any smaller distributor to be able to make that order. But we didn't do that. We actually went to one of the biggest in AB World Foods. Big up to those guys, absolutely. And they again believed in me when I said that I wanted to put music into food. I wanted to merge music and food together, which was quite difficult for me to get that message across to a lot of potential investors and bank managers who I approached before Dragon's Den, and still giving that same message that my Reggae Reggae Sauce could merge music and food together. But they didn't see the potential as what Peter Jones did, obviously. And AB World Foods believed me when I said I could do that. And so they manufactured the sauce, and I was able to to produce that 250,000 bottles to Justin King. Here you are, sir. Thank you very much. And weeks later, as I says, we got the message back that it was actually, yeah, firing Einstein ketchup out of the market. So it's a fantastic achievement. And again, I take my hat on and says, bless, respect to you guys. If you've ever brought the sauce or brought into the Levi Roots brand, I just want to say big respect for that. But as normally most things before it happens, it looks like the dream was going out the window, because it was for many years that I was always trying and never succeeded. And at one stage, I did feel like I wanted to give up, is completely get rid of it and try and get back to the music, which was the number one love for me. That was always plan A. Plan B was always the sauce. If go to the cooking, which was my second real, love and desire to create a business, was music or food. But the music was always the heartbeat. And at one stage I felt like, not getting the investment, not being believed that you can be a Caribbean Rasta man from Brixton and with a bottle of sauce and still being able to break in the market. That was a harder one to sell. I think the music was easier to sell for me because, again, I wasn't doing too bad there where that's concerned. I had my own record label, my album Free Your Mind at the time, what got me a MOBO nomination. I performed around the world with all sorts of different people within the music business, in reggae business. So, there was a path there for me. But, when you get that calling that you need to do something else and you perhaps need to sort of come out of that comfort zone of doing something that's not really taking you anywhere, but you're enjoying it and you're loving it. And that's a dangerous precedence. And when you recognize that's what's happening to you, the bravest thing is to be able to take yourself away from that. And music is one of the most difficult things for you to have as a passion. And then you wake up and think, oh, perhaps I gotta put that bloody guitar down, or you gotta stop singing, or stop dancing, or stop doing your passion. It's not a good thought. And for me, it was the recognition that maybe I needed to do something. And this was to merge the two together. Because I chickened out of putting the guitar down. Here it is. I chickened out of stop performing and getting a job, or, just calling the sauce something else, and don't merge the two. But I wanted both worlds. I wanted plan A, the two passions, and plan B, and put that together. And that was the real deal that got my confidence back again. And the other thing is to finding the market, is getting out there and finding a market for what you've got to sell, which is really important, because my market wasn't necessarily within my Caribbean community, because I was selling a Caribbean sauce. And you would think that, it's perfect. I live in Brixton, a hub for Caribbean people, Brixton Market and all that. You would think that it's perfect for me to launch there. But actually it wasn't. That wasn't the market, because Caribbean people knew everything about Caribbean sauces. They probably make their own at home, which is probably even better than mine's, some of them out there. So it was difficult of me going into that market and trying to break in at first. And usually, they say you have to dance a yard before you dance abroad. But I've been dancing there for a long time and just didn't make any prominence. So I had to go out and find my market. Find people that didn't really necessarily were aficionados of Scotch bonnets and Caribbean food and all things jerk, and get into that market and try to make movements there. And that's when I thought that I'm going to go into the shires. I'm going to get out of my locality and anywhere that had shire at the end of it. As I used to say back in those days, that's where I would search for the lovely country fates and the chili festival in some lonely country village somewhere up and down the UK in the shires. I would be there. Me and a couple of mates of mine, we would turn up with my guitar and my sauces and singing Reggae Reggae Sauce and trying to create a market that didn't really know Caribbean food. Didn't necessarily have a Rasta man that comes around quite regularly with a guitar and a Caribbean song as well too, which was all about the brand that I was trying to build, and it was there in the Shires that I found my market, to being able to express something that they all weren't really an expert in. So that hub of mines became my market. So eventually, when Dragons Den came on, a lot of people wrote to me that saw me. I thought, this crazy man, is he selling sauces? He's selling something else. This rest of that. Back then, as we used to do, because it was a laugh. I think some of these places in the Shires that we turned up, people had, like a kind of weird eye. Who's these guys here? These Rastas coming, and really, we were producing sauces, and some of them were expecting us to produce other things. So it was a really funny time there, but really inspirational, because that's where I got comfortable of being Levi and being able to, to be me, and to take the product to where it is today. Because it was while I was at one of these type events, while I was spotted by the producer of Dragon's Den, which is another question that I'm asked quite regularly, is how did I approach Dragon's Den? Well, for me, as I said, I didn't approach. I was there doing my thing, and I was spotted by a producer who perhaps thought that there's a guy who's gonna make a nice little loser on the show. I don't think anybody, including myself, at the time, thought that I would, sort of smashed it in the way that I did. By just being me, and proudly so, because music is all that I know and all that I really love. And if I had the opportunity to be able to express that, I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna grab being me, or the only other option was to not to be you and to pretend with the sauce without the music. I don't think that would have worked at all. So again, there is your lessons, guy. Be yourself. It's easier than pretending to be something that you are not. So yeah, guys, so like and subscribe. Yes, guys, and respect. And I'm gonna come regularly with these chats and update you as how the products are going, and come with some more question and answers as well too. So if you have a question you wanna ask me, or some kind of advice that you'd like me to elaborate on, please do like and subscribe and send it through, and we'll have some more chats again. And I've got some new music coming up as well too, and some new announcement to make. So stay tuned. Big respect in every aspect.